Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back with you to talk about week number 2 of Survivor AU versus the world. And I'm so thrilled to be back here with our chief international Survivor correspondent. It's Shannon Guss. Shannon, how are you?
Rob, I'm wonderful on this momentous day. Tangential, but out of context. I'm a wonderful +1 to a wedding. If anyone here could be invited to any wedding that they might have mutual friends or friends of parents, I know a lot of times parents push for invites, and I'm a great +1. Like, I'll dance if you want to dance. I won't dance if you don't, and I'll take all the photos of you. We've been to a
Yeah.
wedding together. I think that I
We
proved
have been to a
this
wedding
time.
together, not as people that were that you
I was
weren't
with
my
my
guest. That
husband.
we both were guests at the
Yeah,
same wedding.
but you saw
Listen,
I'm a good time.
listen.
We were sitting next to each other, I think. Yeah.
Look, we could talk about the royal wedding some other time, Shannon, but we have so much to talk about here after a second week. And believe it or not, what a zippy season this is turning into because there's only 4 episodes left in the season?
Yeah, best not to think about it. I was gonna say we have the royal wedding. This was like the royal divorce. A lot of people are in mourning. 2 weeks in, we are 60% through the
Yeah.
season. It's so upsetting. It's so
It,
upsetting. So upsetting.
this really was a very transitional week where we started the week, we were in the pre-merge, we've ended the week, and there's 4 episodes left in the season. So really we went from I felt like it was the early game still at the start of the week, and now at the end of this week it feels like we are in the end game of Survivor AU versus the world.
When we talk in a week from now, there'll be 1 episode left. And I
One
think
episode
about this
left.
all the time. And I love Survivor more than anything. It's well documented. But like, how am I gonna go back to regular Survivor? This is incomparable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Well, it has
we sold
been
the medium.
so strong. It's been call me Sabrina Carpenter because this season is like the espresso shot
Okay.
of the season. But because
Hey,
it's just it's small and concentrated, but
like
it packs
Sabrina.
a punch.
Yeah. Well, that's and with a lot of different pop star talk in the first 2 minutes of this podcast. Yeah, yeah, it's the exhibition match, and we've said that. And I want it to be longer though. I think it's fine. It's just I'm gonna miss it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
So looking forward to talking through a very eventful week because I think that there were a lot of curious decisions that got made this week, and I'd love to sort of talk some of those through with you. I had just watched before we came on your exit interview with Tony, which I thought was really wonderful. And if you didn't see it, I really was very touched. You got very emotional with Tony at the end of that interview.
Yes, I didn't know how it would go. When Tony got voted out, I was in tears. Like, I was in
Yeah.
tears that he was gone. I was in tears that I got to talk to him because I knew I had an exit interview. And but then I was like, I'm definitely gonna cry in the exit interview. I'd already cried with Sandra a couple of years ago, so my track record wasn't good. But I was like, I genuinely just don't know how I will be in that moment. But I was so nervous and I was so starstruck and I was so overawed. And then at the end, getting to tell Tony how much he's meant to me, like in really like difficult times of my life. I said that the two things for him was that Kagayan was when I started listening to every single RHAP podcast. That was the season where I started my full-time job that I'm still in. And like that was my commute and that was my lunch breaks and that was being, on the job too. And that I feel like is a season that really cemented me as a super fan. And I feel like Tony's such a big part of that. I think about the Kagayan deep dives that were incredible. And that really, like, I think it changed the course of my life because, and you did as well, obviously, because it was RHAP that did it. But like that season being so good changed the trajectory of my life to where I am now. And then in 2020, which was like one of the worst periods of my life, Tony dominating every week. And I regretted that I said it was a small comfort. That's not what I meant. I meant it was like the one comfort, in a really dark time of watching my favorite winner dominate winners at war. And I was so grateful to tell him that. I just wanted him to know the effect he's had on me, that this means something to me and I'm sure to many others. So yeah, I did get emotional and I don't regret it because I'm just really glad I got to
Yeah.
tell
Why
Tony
should
that.
you regret it?
Yeah. I can't believe I got to tell Tony that. I'm so lucky.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was a really nice moment, and I was glad I got the chance to see it and get to talk with you about this week. And so, I don't know. I said to Shannon before we started that I'd like to talk through things a little bit more from the beginning like linearly to be able to talk it through. Because a lot of times in my podcasting, I do like to say, like, well, what's the biggest thing to talk about? And I think you could certainly start at the end. I'm just worried that if we did it that way, I might not get to things from earlier in the week.
Yeah, well, and especially because earlier in the week was lifetimes ago. Like Tony went
Yes.
home, we've merged, Kirby's gone somehow. Like it's been a lot.
And
But
of
I
course,
just want to know what stood out to you.
Yeah, and if you're just finding this podcast, of course, Shannon does incredible coverage all week long. She has daily recaps of all this episode with Chappelle and Puya and Mike Bloom, and she's gone through each of the episodes from this season in great detail and has exit interviews. You can hear them all in the Survivor Global podcast feed. We know globalsurvivor.com, and you can check them all out on our YouTube channel as well. And to our patrons, if anybody's having any tech issues, trying to get to see all this stuff, we are working through any technical difficulties you may be experiencing, and I do apologize for that. Okay. But yeah, the week started as I was afraid it was going to start, where I was concerned about Tony. I didn't think he really stood much of a chance moving forward, and we ended up with starting off on that episode where it was really, you had the four women in the what do they call it? The global tribe, the world tribe,
The world tribe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The no longer world tribe, and it really did seem like, okay, so Cirie and Parvati were, angling for, okay, let's keep Tony, while we saw that Lisa and Cass were a little bit more angling of let's keep Tommy around. And it seemed like that they were a little bit at loggerheads over that. And I thought that was an interesting decision that they had to work through.
Yeah, Tony and Tommy and Cass's accent was a trip as well. That was a tough one that they really had to keep subtitling. This was everything we feared. Even the Wordle word was immediately llama, which was a sign from the universe. There was nothing here for Tony. Like, did you see anything that Tony could have done? What did you think of the swan
No,
song
I didn't think that there was too much that Tony could have done. First off, I was a little disappointed with the twist that they ended up doing, where they were going to bring both tribes to tribal council. And I felt like, okay, well, maybe this is an opportunity for Tony to be able to, have something else to go on. And, they brought the two tribes to tribal council and one person was going to get voted out. And Cirie seemed like, oh my, Jonathan, what is this? Are you coming up with two tribes at one tribal council and somebody's getting voted out? Like, this is crazy. It's like, Cirie, this happened on a season that you were on.
She wasn't in that tribal council.
Yeah, did she not watch that episode? Did she ever ask, hey, whatever happened to JT? He's kind of a thorn in my side. What did you all do at that tribal council?
Rob, what happened to Cirie in Game Changers happened to me. I never watched Survivor again in the season. You think she was there watching it like, ooh, what's going to happen? This is so compelling. I'd be out and I wouldn't come back.
Now, it wasn't exactly what they did to JT, but I think I would have preferred. I'm sorry, that was Malcolm's tribal council. I apologize. JT was at that tribal council. It was Malcolm. My bad. Yeah. Maybe she was like, I don't care what happened to Malcolm.
Yeah. I don't think she what happened to anyone on that season.
Yeah, I didn't like the twist that was here. And again, we're not here to what's the War Dog quote that the twist isn't on trial. But I didn't.
Was on trial. The twist is always on trial.
Yeah, I didn't love you brought both the tribes here. It was going to be the thing before the merge. I feel like you could have had like, okay, hey, both tribes are here. Two of you have fought for individual immunity. We're all going to vote and one person is going to go home. Like I maybe they feel like, okay, is that not, then are we merged then? And maybe is that what they were thinking through? But the fact that it was all going to come down to a heads up fire making challenge on a random rock draw. Like, I just felt like, what are we even doing?
Yeah, no part of this worked. No part of this worked at all, even with the history. And the season's fun because, like, everything has history. Like, Tony won fire, Cirie lost fire. Like, the fate is in her hands. And even with that, it's just like, there's really nothing here. They at least should have gotten to choose. This has all been said, but they're fire maker. But, like, then that would have been the bare minimum.
But I didn't get to say it. I think that, okay, choose your champion. Okay, who do you want to make fire for your team? Who is the best fire maker for your at least then maybe Tony is like, hey, like put me in, like let me at least
Yeah, he
fight
would.
for my life. Let me
Yeah.
fight for immunity for everybody.
Yeah. Well, the only one interesting thing about this was something I asked Sarah on the X interview was like, could you have thrown that challenge? Because she's immune.
Yeah.
And she said she wanted to work with Tony. She has reverence, and like I don't know how much she knew Tony was like on the outs. But she wanted Shawnee out. I kind of don't understand how Shawnee wouldn't have gone because Sarah was so out on Kirby, even more than I realized from her exit. Like in her ex interview, I realized that. So Janine and Luke are going to vote together. They're not going to vote for Kirby. They can't vote for Sarah. They're going to vote for Shawnee. That's Sarah's vote on
Yeah.
Shawnee. She gets out Shawnee, which she's wanted. She keeps Tony. She throws fire, but she was very set on like Australia having the numbers. It would have been a big play, but that would have been an interesting, and that was Tony's only chance of the fight. If someone he'd never met ever threw fire for him.
Well, I had been wondering as I watched it, you don't think there was any chance Cirie was throwing the fire, right?
No. Why would she? She wanted Tony to, even in the next episode, she says, I still wish it was the six of us. Like, she didn't want to vote out Tony.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of my thinking about this. I feel like that if Cirie really did want to keep Tony, I think Tony would have stayed. I think Cirie,
yeah, exactly.
I think Cirie really could have, like, you can't convince me that if Cirie, in her heart of hearts, really wanted Tony to stay, I think she could have, like, you know, like, and you and Chappelle were talking about this a little bit. If Cirie and Parvati really wanted to go to the mat for Tony, I think that if push came to shove, that Lisa and Cass would have come around eventually.
But here's the thing, is this is the theme we've seen through the week, is that Cirie's major investment and priority is to the worlds.
Yeah.
More than Tony and more than Parvati.
Yeah, but
more than Parvati.
That's just what, you know, as a Tony fan, I was disappointed because it was like, you could have kept Tony. You could have saved him. And again, that's more of a me thing than it's for them. I don't begrudge them. It's their prerogative to do what they wanted to do. But I'm just saying that, like, they definitely did not want to keep him that badly because I do believe they could have kept him if they really wanted him.
Right, but there's like a chasm between like I'll throw fire to get rid of Tony versus like if push comes to shove and I have to like appease my allies.
The thought occurred to me. I think that Cirie was actually was trying, but as I was watching it,
too. Do you think she was throwing in Panama as well? I like to believe she was, and in the fire making.
Why?
I think she was throwing the balance beam. I don't think Cirie's ever actually lost at anything on purpose. Like, I think it's all been on purpose. I think it's all by design.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, I just feel like for Tony, and as a Tony fan, it just this whole episode was just like such a slow motion car wreck of like it was just one thing going wrong after another for Tony, where it was just like, there's no way out of this, right?
Yeah, right? It's really not fun as a Tony stan.
Yeah, and it did feel like that Parvati wanted to keep Tony more than Cirie did. And it seemed like that Parvati was a little bit more willing to go to bat because she felt like, okay, well, at least he's a shield for me. But then when Tony, and I think that you and Chappelle were talking about this also, was the vote decided before Tribal Council? I suspect it was, in terms of, although I guess that maybe they might have thought that they were going to come in potentially all voting together on something. But I do feel like that the die was cast for Tony. I don't think that anything he did at that Tribal Council made the vote 100% be him. I think it already was 100% on him.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree because I feel like this has been kind of debated this week. But for me, Cirie says that she's out on Tony. And what's he going to do? Like, beg Parvati to convince Cirie, to convince the others? Like, it was so gone. We haven't even gotten your take on what the internet has dubbed Shoe's big move. Or it's just an effing shoe. What did you think of the shoe? Do you know that our ShoeTube ads had a shoe underneath the video? Like, the internet is listening to us. It was crazy about under our recap. Yeah, the shoe.
So far be it from me to ever, give notes to Tony.
How dare you?
But yeah, I think that the best, we've talked about this, like the best fake idol of all time, like, was Rupert putting a rock in his pocket. I think that, Bob Crowley says that, you go into the bank with a fake gun, it could be just, you can't show it to them. And so I can't imagine in what world Is anybody? I feel like if I'm sitting there and Tony starts tying a sneaker around his neck, I'm like, what? What is going on? Like, I
But it
guess, like
confuses you.
and Tony's
Confuses
mind
you.
moves, at the speed of light, and he's going, and I heard him talk to you about it. Like, he's really just playing jazz at that point. And he's like, I'm going through my bag. I'm looking for something. I see a shoe, and I have a rock in my shoe, and that's the idol that I'm tying around my neck. Okay, but it's I don't know. I'm a survivor player. I'm like, wait, what's happening right now? Why is he have a sneaker around his? If he just sort of said like, hey, I as always, Jonathan, I have my bag of tricks ready to go. I think that I would maybe start to think a little bit more about, okay, well, well, does he have something? I feel like that at the point where it's like, going back to the film Jaws, where, that you didn't really see the shark as much. Tony hates sharks. You didn't see the shark, and it was scarier than if you got a close up of the shark. Like, wait, is that a sneaker?
Yeah. But imagine you'd be scared to get idled out on the shoe, to get booted, if you will. Like
Yeah.
you'd hate to be the one who didn't believe the shoe, and then the shoe was something, and then you're going home, and then people remember that forever. So sometimes it's just about shock and awe. I think a lot of Tony's game,
Sock and
right?
awe.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, yes, brilliant.
Yeah.
My bad.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought the shoe, like, it was iconic.
Yeah.
We'll always remember it. So
Shoe.
that's really sometimes all you can hope for is, okay, it's a foregone conclusion. Tony's going out. He's going to like give us like a big moment. I saw he was doing his post game interviews and he still had the shoe
He has
around.
the shoe on.
His neck.
I kind of thought about it. I said to Peter, I'm like, should I come in wearing a shoe? Peter's like, this is your one chance to talk to Tony. I'm like, all right, I'll keep it like earnest. I'm like, I would, if it was someone else, I might have. But I mean, the one thing that people kind of questioned was, did he make a mistake in going hard at Parvati, who was at least the one who had, to be fair, not chosen him over the women, like didn't tell him about the key, like had actively pulled away from him, but less than everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
In a perfect world, that's a good call. I don't think it changed anything. I think that already, if Cirie kind of has her mind made up, okay, I have to really nurture my relationship with Lisa and Cass, like, and by proxy, Tommy, these are my people. I'm not going to go against them. Like, I feel like these are my numbers that I'm bringing to the end. Parvati is like, well, what am I going to do? Like, not go with the numbers. And then he singles out Parvati at that tribal council. And, little does Tony know that actually it's, the other way around. Parvati was vouching for him more, but it wasn't going to change anything. So I thought it was like pretty astute how he was able to piece together, what had gone on with the key, and specifically about how I don't think he actually saw Parvati with the key. He's just basically sort of like just
Putting shoe and shoe together.
Right. So yeah, I thought that he had like some good reads. I think he was trying to get maybe everybody else thinking a little bit more about that. I don't think he maybe had supposed that Lisa and Cass had both already known that they had opened the box, that they had the key. So there's not a lot he could have done. Like, I don't know necessarily, like, other than like standing up and blowing out Sarah's fire. Like, I don't know what he could have. Like, he's trying to coach Cirie. He just seemed like that he was in a no-win situation. And there's few times that we could really say that about a Survivor player. I don't see how things could have gone differently for Tony.
Yeah, it was painful. And in terms of Parvati, it's interesting because later on in this week, Kirby's going to be so upset with Parvati. She's not going to hug Parvati on the way out. But it's again like Parvati's not controlling that vote. Like Parvati's probably vouching the most for that person, but is not in with the numbers making that decision. And I think it's a very similar thing there where she's kind of getting the blame or getting, she's on the back foot. But it's not up to her. So yeah, very upsetting. We'll always have the shoe. That's our best player of all time, Rob. He's got a shoe around his neck and he's falling in the well. And that's the greatest we have. And I really stand by that. So it was an honor to have Tony on the show. I wish it wasn't so short. Shoot to live. I can't. I have to stop. I'm now talking in Q, but in shoe. And I hear it. Yeah, it was an honor to have him. I wish that he had more runway. to run with the shoes. I'm done. It's over. I got it out of my system. Okay.
Let's get into then the episode that comes after that, where we end up having the merge in episode 5. And so I have mixed feelings about really kicking things off with the Survivor auction.
How so?
Well, first off, I did love it because the Australian Survivor, the auctions are always so iconic. One of the things that Australian Survivor just does so much better than the US Survivor, where the US Survivor, they took the auction away. It's like, we can't do the auction. What are the stakes? What does it mean? Like, it has to mean more. All right, what if you lose your vote? And they just completely overthink it and talk themselves into circles, where it's always great when they do it on Australian Survivor.
It's like a regular auction that they used to do in the US.
They just do it, and they're not so worried about but what is the viewer at home? Are they invested in this? It's fun. And so it's always great, but it's what are we even doing? And then what is it, day 6? And then where it's here's this super short season. And they're eating so much that here's a rack of ribs. I don't know. It's just a little bit it's we're so early in a short season. I don't know if you needed to give them an auction. But the auction is fun.
Are you saying that you used to walk up to Tribal? What do they say? Everyone, all the old school players, both ways, walk uphill to Tribal. Yeah, maybe that's why no one was bidding on that club sandwich. They're I kind of just ate.
I'm full.
Started.
I mean, earlier in the season, these King George had a bowl of rice that was 3 times what I would eat in real life. It was how much? I think that they have a lot of food.
Well, they haven't had a reward since the first episode, to be fair.
Parvati's I can't even finish these cookies. I'm stuffed.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. I mean, people were saying oh, they wish Ferris could have been Kirby's loved one. I'm can you imagine if they bring the loved ones? I think I would care if I saw my cats after. I leave for an hour and I miss my cats. But I think most people after 2 weeks wouldn't really care. Do you think? Yeah,
you would. You definitely would care about the loved ones. It's just that it's a minor quibble of I don't know what actual day it was. I think it might have been day 8 or 9. So,
it was day 8.
That
needed in a week.
Okay, so it's fine.
I'm shaming them.
No, it's just I just feel it was such a short season.
It is funny.
Yeah.
It's funny to think that they were when the club sandwich came out, they're I'm kind of stuffed. And it went for $40, which is honestly not a terrible price, just in a cafe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're a tourist, sure.
Depending, where you are. Yeah.
So, but it was a fun way to announce the merge, to do that. There was a lot of big moments that ended up coming in. I did feel so the first thing was the scroll, right? And then Luke and Tommy are both bid $500 for the scroll. And then they have to pick rocks for it, and then Luke gets it. I feel that Luke really gets hosed here in this, of that he basically has to go punish somebody who goes and gets I thought a very overpowered reward for what it ultimately was. Not even just we'll talk about it separately, but going back to this, so many comparisons to Survivor fans versus favorites. This is the Natalie Bolton thing of pick one person to go to Exile Island, and you got to keep their money. Luke should have gotten Parvati's money at the very least.
Well, maybe he should have realized that if he was going to gain something, it was the power to give someone something. Could he send himself?
Yeah. So then I really did think that Parvati's countdown to Luke, I really thought that was going to work. That was the thing. I was really wow, this is so impressive. Parvati, look at her power, where she's Luke, you're not going to do this. Okay, I'm going to give you a countdown. It's 5, 4. I'm oh my God, this is going to work. And this is going to be in my mind, forget the double idol play. This is the most impressive thing Parvati's ever done. And then she ultimately, then he says, I can't. I have to do it. But did you think that was going to work?
I kind of thought because he'd made such a terrible decision that she was allowing him to walk it back, but then you've done 2 people. It was so easy to just send Tommy. He has no money anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It was so easy. What was he thinking? Sending Parvati? Like what like that's not how you take Parvati out of the game if she's a big threat, and you haven't even merged yet to know if that's how it's gonna go. It
I
was
guess what Luke is
yeah.
thinking is that, hey, I'm Team Australia all the way. Parvati is like the biggest name over there. I'm gonna just do this and take her out of this so she can't get an advantage or an idol. So I definitely I could see why you would do it that way. I don't know. I think that probably what you said is a better idea. Tommy does not hold a grudge, I think, in that spot where Parvati is saying, like, hey, like, you're going to be sorry. Although somehow Luke is still here at the end of this week. I did not think that was going to be the case coming in. But Parvati goes and she ends up getting so much out of this where I think she also, does she get to keep her 500 Australian dollars too?
Oh my god. Well, that changes everything. I mean,
Yeah.
she keeps like the $300 like that's she could
I'm
spend
not
that at the
sneezing
airport.
at it, okay?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
And she ends up, okay, well, we have the return of the cookies. It's like, okay, this is great. This is like Jericho's cookies back. The irony of Luke sending somebody to
Yeah, that's
go
great.
and get the cookies.
Yeah.
And she has the cookie jar, and it's like, okay, you can bury it, you can eat them, and that's, all well and good. But then also with the cookies is an advantage of the idol nullifier too.
Well, the Stealer. It's a Stealer.
Yeah, sorry. The steal an idol, not the knowledge. The Australian knowledge is power.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
get that here.
and
Stealer.
I just thought that this was so much of like it was cookies and also an advantage. Like pick a lane.
It was a lot, and I'm glad. I was
After
thinking
Parvati already has the idol that's in the box.
Yeah, well, I was glad it wasn't another idol. I'm glad we haven't introduced another idol into the game. We introduced the idol Stealer last season. Miles got that.
Yes.
And now I wonder, I don't know. I mean, Luke doesn't even remember that we watched Survivor New Zealand and that he was on my penultimate recap and he doesn't remember Lisa's name or where she's from. Like, you were on the penultimate recap with me, Luke. So I don't know how much he, like,
Come on, Luke,
is reading into things, but, like, Luke and Cass have not shared their idols. I wonder if the precedent is being set. Once you introduce knowledge is power into the game, we saw in the US, people would pass their idols around. People should keep the idols more secret. I think it kind of limits what you should do gameplay-wise, makes it less dynamic. But I wonder if that precedent is being set just in case. Because if it, oh no, sorry, they hadn't watched it. Oh my gosh, I'm only just realizing this now. They hadn't seen Brains v. Brawn, and I doubt that they cared enough to get the spoilers. So, yeah, this is very new to them. That's going to be shocking to them. Like, even the most, like, ardent fans couldn't know that this is in the game. Interesting.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Okay. And I do
then
wonder.
It's very lucky that Luke and Cass just happened not to share their idols as well.
Yeah. I think that, is there some sort of like Chekhov's advantage of that? Is Parvati going to steal Luke's idol and say, Luke, you said I told you were going to be sorry.
Yeah.
I told you, don't mess with me.
How will she find out he has an idol? He's like so like steadfast on not telling anyone about it. He didn't use it for David. He hasn't told Janine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe she'll just guess.
What happened to the rest of the cookies that Parvati, then she broke the jar and the cookies came out? Did she just like 5-second rule? Did she?
Would you do it? Because I thought about this.
Yeah, I as a survivor, I certainly would have, attempted to desandify the cookies. Like, did Cirie not even get a cookie?
Well, no, because they fell to the sand. I thought I might eat the cookies with sand. To be fair, she's only been there for a week, okay? She can still have, like,
I guess so.
some dignity. But no, it was not the sand. There's glass on the cookies, Rob. The glass.
The glass is, I don't think the glass is in a million pieces. Like,
I don't know. I don't think she should eat the glass cookies. I think she can go the next 7 days without eating the glass cookies.
So
I think that's my professional recommendation.
It's a shame. Like, I'm curious to know what ended up happening with them. I guess
it's a shame that she lost a few cookies.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it is a shame, and maybe they're like going to be like, why are there ants everywhere all of a sudden? What the hell? What's going on here?
Someone, digs them out, eats a glass cookie.
Yeah,
that would be an unfortunate way to go out. To be like, I'm still going to eat the cookies. You eat it. You eat glass. You medivac straight out of there.
Okay.
X-style.
But as far as the rest of the auction goes, was there anything else of note from the auction? Oh yeah, Kirby got like the big thing of popcorn and was like, "Oh man, this sucks, popcorn." Like Kirby, dude, you were on the season where there was an advantage, right? Or was it idol? It was in the popcorn. Kirby, like if I'm Kirby and I get the popcorn like this, I'm like, ho.
I love your Australian
Booyah.
Survivor memory. Yes, brilliant. It was Raymond, which Kirby clearly doesn't remember, even though that aired only months before they filmed this. Yeah, and like obviously
Kirby
they
just
put
seems
it.
so bummed. Like, oh, it's just a big canister of popcorn. Like,
I
yeah,
think
that's
popcorn is great.
I can think of
Anyway.
2 different times when Australian
Yeah.
Survivor puts an idol in popcorn. It's like not
It was her
bad.
season. I mean, she hasn't seen the other seasons, but she should know from her own season when she was involved in the move when Raymond got it in the popcorn. So, but it wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
And she was
Oh,
spilling
she might have. It might have been there. She might have never even
No.
looked. Like, well,
No,
I
she
don't want
was
this.
spilling it. And you're upset about the cookies got wasted. I was like, she's spilling the popcorn everywhere. I was like, eat every little bite. Like,
Yeah.
You're right. They've only been there for a week. She's like, I don't care about this popcorn. So, yeah.
But it's an interesting merge for sure that ends up coming together. And so I'm trying to remember which was the challenge for this episode.
This was last Gasp that was canceled.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was so it's so compelling, and the Survivor gods I think were really on board here with like we're in this. I can't remember. I'm sure it has happened before, but maybe not in the HD era where it was like so impressive of like, okay, last gasp is going on, but as the rains are coming down, so you have these players that are fighting on last gasp, which is already like so iconic, and then the rain is coming down and the lightning starts, and I'm like, okay, well, this is like. Are we gonna shut down a Survivor challenge for lightning? Because if you're ever like at the pool, it's like, all right, everybody out of the pool, lightning. But I'm like, wow, Australian Survivor, they don't care, they're going. And then ultimately JLP calls it, and now we have to get everybody out of the water for the challenge. And it seemed like it really was like within minutes away from being decided, and it was just so epic, the whole thing. And then we were at this crossroads of what do we do for who's going to get immunity? And we ended up drawing rocks for immunity.
Yeah. Did you have we fight for it? Like, do you have like a better idea?
I feel like, and I know we're on the fly, I feel like that maybe we could have had like some better contingency than we're going to draw rocks for immunity.
I don't like what? What could we have done? Just like put him in the water now, just like drown him right now. Just you get in and whoever holds their breath the longest in the water.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, this is going back to Survivor Borneo. Everybody get in the water. Last one to pop up wins immunity. Hold your breath for as long as possible.
That's
good.
Gasp, though. It's not
last gasp, but it's better than let's draw rocks out of a bag for immunity.
It's not a challenge. That's like what 2 8-year-olds might do in a pool when they're bored. Like that's not, who could
for
hold
the
their breath
record,
the
Shannon,
longest.
it was a challenge in Survivor Borneo.
Well, we've come a long way, Rob.
It's better that hold your breath, especially when the original challenge was last gasp, and as the tiebreaker to be hold your breath under the water for as long as possible. Last one to pop up wins immunity. That's and I just thought of that on the fly. That's
How much
great.
mortal danger can we put these players in? We've had so many lawsuits.
It's not danger. They're not going to. Tommy's going to want immunity so bad that he will end his life under the water.
I think that's the end of Tommy. No wonder he's barely gotten any airtime. He just never comes back up. Like you'd feel bad, Rob, and it would be on your head because
he's gone full Gabler.
Yeah. Yeah. You. That's.
That would have been fine. There was a point.
Tommy to die?
I don't want Tommy to die. Come on.
Well,
don't twist my words. So
what you said.
JLP says to them, okay, if anybody doesn't unanimously agree to that, nobody will get immunity. Was there any strategic benefit in any of those 4 saying, you know what? I'm fine with nobody to get immunity.
No, because that already makes you look like such a dick. Like, that's the first part. And the second part is like they both have like an even tribe chance and like allied chance. I was just straight to the point there. Yeah, so I think it made sense. And it gave such a great moment of Tommy finally winning a rock draw. Yeah, in the Tommy, multi-rock draws we've had this week.
Like, aha, I finally get it. Like, if you only knew, like, Luke won nothing. Luke won the opportunity to piss off Parvati and give her a bunch of stuff. So,
but Tommy might not have made such a terrible decision. Like, Tommy might have sent himself back to camp.
Count your blessings,
he might have
Tommy,
cookies,
that you didn't win the first rock draw.
Idol stealer. It's true. And the fire, You really look, that's the most Finland has won in 8 years, was that rock draw, Rob. And you're spitting on Tommy and you want him to die.
Is this
Okay,
like
enough Tommy
Olympic
slander.
hazing
what he
of?
said.
Yeah,
That's what
okay.
he said.
Finland hasn't won anything in 8 years?
That's what he said. You think I know Finland's medal count? I don't even know
Where's
Australia's medal
Akiva?
count. I don't care for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Tommy forever.
Forever.
I love Tommy. I love Tommy. He was so endearing in this episode. I'm so glad I watched his season.
Okay. So it was certainly an interesting vote that ends up coming together because there's a lot of different factions that are coming to be. And we have the two sides, maybe, but it turns out that Kirby and Shawnee decide that they both seemingly want to go and work with Parvati for whatever reasons. They want to.
Yeah.
What's that?
They met Parvati. Wouldn't you?
So I kind of got the Shawnee Parvati thing a little bit more. Shawnee talks about it in this episode, like, oh, it would be so iconic. You know, the fans, they'll all love that. So I really did kind of get that from Shawnee's perspective a little bit more. I think the thing that I'm sort of the most curious about or curious about, if you will, as the week goes on, is I will not understand why Kirby, and hopefully maybe you can help illuminate for me, why Kirby, I am really at a loss for reasons, decided to go all in on Parvati. Kirby, who I had thought was like a very I don't know if practical is the right word, but sort of like no nonsense type player.
Yeah.
And Kirby meets David in this season and is like, David, not going to work with me. Not my kind of guy. You're a big threat. Everybody's going to be totally won over by you. Bye-bye, David. I can't have any of this. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Kirby doesn't want to work with the big players. And then Kirby spots Parvati and then is just like, oh my God, you know what? Forget anybody else that I've been working with. The one I'm going to pledge my undying loyalty to this person. And I would again, there are other people here who are like with Lisa and Cirie. Like, I totally understand it. Lisa is a lifelong Survivor superfan. It's her dream to meet Cirie. Here she is. She's with Cirie, and she's like, you know what? This is my ultimate Survivor dream. I'm living it out. I'm working with Cirie. This is incredible. And so, if I am not necessarily, making, every decision completely clear-headed because I'm getting to work with Cirie, this is fantastic. Kirby, who admittedly is like, you know what? I've never seen this show. I have no idea who any of you people are. It's not like that she's like starstruck by Parvati. This was like me asking, like, is Parvati just like that good where she just like has met this random person, and Kirby, who we've seen be such a great player across like 1.2 seasons of Survivor, that she just completely just won Kirby over head over heels with nothing?
I think, I do think that there's like some Parvati power there that we even see before they merge, that Kirby's like talking to her at the challenges. So I kind of feel like there was that kind of pull and that aura. And also like Kirby is like willing to throw Sarah under the bus anyway, right or wrong.
Right. And you said the Kirby Sarah thing was doomed to work. Like that was not a match. But no. I never really got from Kirby this week of why was she so ready just to go, especially after, we have her whole backstory with Ferris, and it totally tracked when she was like, hey, I cannot work with somebody like David in this game. And the last person I want to work with is David. But you know who I do want to work with? the person who is incredibly close with David, who has just been on a different show, which I guess Kirby doesn't know, because she doesn't even seem to know what's going on Survivor, let alone on Deal or No Deal Island, if she only knew. But I just like, it defies logic to me and the answer is, Rob, that's because that this is like, the Parvati magic does not work in logic.
Yes, I think yes. And I also think like Parvati, like she's like a big fish. You know, everyone is competing to be like Parvati's ally, Sarah is, and Shawnee is, and Kirby is, not Luke. But yeah, I kind of feel like it was like, who can win this thing? Like the separate sub game of being Parvati's number one. And I honestly just think that she was overawed by Parvati. Like, I think I think you're the first person to question it all week, and I've honestly never even considered it until now, because it kind of feels like it speaks for itself.
It just, to me, like, I totally, if this was Shawnee doing this, like, I totally get it, where Shawnee is like, oh my God, the internet is going to lose their minds. Shawnee and Parvati finally collaborating and working together. But Kirby, who seems to not be a person who has any sort of like interest or knowledge or care about what, like, oh, what are the fans going to think? Like, for Kirby to just like, especially after her story was, I cannot work with a charismatic David, like he's just like a Ferris. But in the case of Fierce Parvati, it's like, you know what? That's it. That's my forget anybody else.
Yeah, she's talking really badly about Ferris on the season. I was Ferris would be like, "But I love you. We're friends." Like, why? Like, what is all this PTSD with Ferris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just the aura.
Yeah. Okay. Going back to just like then, and Sarah, who like I really enjoyed in this season. I really thought that Sarah was such a compelling figure in all of this, because I just felt like that you could, you saw all of her, agonizing over every decision that was made, and she was a good narrator and sort of talking through her feelings of like, that Sarah did not always make the best decision, but you understood her motivations every step of the way. Whereas I think that really what I'm struggling to understand is Kirby's motivations for why she ended up wanting to go all in with Parvati at the point that she did. It just, to me, feels like this whole season, I'm just left with, if Sarah, who had the regret over, I should have kept David over George, I just feel like that this season would actually be a lot more interesting had that happened, where, David ends up staying, and it would have been at the expense of George, who goes home in the next episode. And so now that on the Australia tribe, you have now, okay, David, Luke, Janine, and Sarah together as a 4. And I don't know necessarily, who would have potentially gone home from, I guess it would have been.
Maybe they win the challenge now. So maybe Tony goes, and then like a Tommy goes.
Okay, and so it's basically a lot of the people like that people just would have gone out one vote earlier, to get to this
Shawnee
point.
Might go.
Okay, and maybe Tommy,
Kirby
and maybe
might.
Tommy's not there at the merge.
Yeah.
But now imagine you got to this merge, and now David's here. And now what does Parvati do? And now, and we saw that Parvati's like loyalty to Cirie is sort of like there's a tug of war over Cirie wants to get rid of Kirby. What's Parvati going to do? But imagine if instead of Kirby, that's David here. And then Parvati has to decide, so, and Cirie's not going to like, this David guy, I'm not like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't like this. Like, I think that this would be an even more compelling scenario that we'd be at this point in the season.
I don't know if we can say it would be more compelling. I think David.
I just did.
I think that's crazy. Like, we don't know. We don't. It's so good.
And it was so good to see that Parvati's decision about like, do I keep Cirie happy, or do I go with this new thing with Kirby? But if that was David instead of Kirby, that's a real decision for Parvati, who's just come off of playing Deal or No Deal Island with David. That would be a much harder decision for her. And I think she would have played the idol for David in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, like, of all the prep we did, Dondi not being as important as like Quebec and Finland was actually not on my bingo card. But I don't know if we can say it would be better. I think that
I just did twice.
But I'm criticizing you. I think that I'm I not criticizing you. I just question because it's already so good and all of these characters are delivering. Like if you take out and add in any piece, you're gonna get something great. That's the beauty of this casting. Like if you do lose a Shawnee or a Kirby, who's been such a massive part of this, and her relationship with Sarah has been so complicated and interesting. Maybe you lose, other parts of that. I was thinking even if like, say Shawnee does go, say Sarah loses fire, and Tony's in the merge, like the whole landscape is different. Any one of these players changes the landscape so drastically that we can't imagine what it would be like. And you know what? It would be entertaining because it's a wonderful cast, and that's the formula that they gave. I don't know if we can say it would be better because it's so good. Well, no, because it's so good.
Hey, something could be good, but then it also could be better.
It's like the best season ever, and you're like, here's how it could be improved. Like what?
I think it would have been it'd be more compelling, I think, if Parvati had to choose between her loyalty to Cirie and her loyalty to David. I think that would be like.
I think Heroes versus Villains is a better season if Cirie isn't idled out. But we got the season we did in Heroes versus Villains is like the best season of all time. Like be happy with what you have, Rob. I'm telling you this. I'm usually a real pessimist.
Okay. Well, the vote was so interesting where it was this 3-3-4 vote where Cirie has to end. I think Cirie has the most interesting spot in this vote because she has to decide to leave Lisa and Cass and Tommy in the dark. And
well, I think they knew, but they didn't get their way. Like Lisa says that she's going with them. Like I think it was a split.
You think it was a split vote against the idol?
Yeah, I think so.
That's
I don't think that the three worlds thought Janine was going home. I think they wanted Janine to go home, but they didn't have the power to pull Cirie and Parvati over to that 5-person vote.
Yeah.
I think we'd have seen a bigger reaction if they'd been straight up left out of the vote.
Okay. I didn't think about it like that, but I know you have, so I will.
I thought about it so much.
I will take your word.
I could be wrong.
That.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting spot for Cirie of like what she wanted to do because I was thinking about like okay, well, because Cirie could have voted with the world people in that spot, and I think she sort of like begrudgingly ends up going with. Now, when I see the new Black Widow Brigade 2.0 talked about.
Black Widow Brigade, yeah. And then we're going to get the Blackest Widowist Brigade. So this is actually 3.0.
I wasn't sure, is the new Black Widow Brigade what was the 4 that voted together in episode 4 or episode 5 where it was Cirie, Parvati, Shawnee, and Kirby? Or is the new Black Widow Brigade the Cirie, Parvati, Lisa, and Cass?
Well, I think people immediately were like, Lisa and Cass, you're done, and Kirby and Shawnee are here, which is unfortunate because people were really starting the second Black Widow.
Or is it just like one of these bands where it's like as long as Cirie and Parvati, it doesn't matter who the other people are.
Exactly. Yeah, that is the perfect analogy, and that's probably the thing is Lisa and Cass are still there, and they're just not like in on the vote or they're not being prioritized. So they're like, wait, but we haven't left the band yet. What do you mean you have new members of the band? I'm still here playing the drums. Like, what are we doing? So I think that is what it is, though. That's the Black Widow Brigade band. I agree.
Okay. Just whatever. It's just Cirie and Parvati.
And Cirie are very important.
And 2 other people.
I think you should have, like, Amanda was important. Like, Alexis and, like, Natalie, but, like, we can start revolving the others out. But it's a bit unfortunate. I think Amanda was important. But anyway.
Yeah, I think that if it was the real Black Widow, I think you really could have, if you had Amanda there and it was Parvati, Cirie, Amanda, and then really anybody, it could be, it could be me as like, it's the new Black Widow Brigade, whatever, nobody cares. Yeah. As long as you have like the big 3, I think that's fine. But yeah, I was disappointed that it ultimately ended up going on to Sarah. I can understand why that was. And then all of a sudden we have our first member of the jury.
Yeah, should have been 4 episodes earlier.
Do you think that everybody should have been on the jury? It should have been like a winners of war.
Yeah, and I usually hate that. But it's an exhibition match. Like, why is Tony going home? He should be on the jury wearing a shoe every night. Yeah.
What is the prize for Australian Survivor versus the World?
250K Australian.
Okay, and what is that in comparison to the normal prize? 500K? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, not bad.
Not bad. Not bad for they don't even care about getting the club sandwich. They don't care about seeing their loved ones. They don't, they're not going to eat the sand glass cookies. 250K ain't bad. Parvati might get an extra $300 from the auction. Yeah. So they're making their money, Yeah.
All right, let's talk about then the third episode of the week where it comes after that. And now this is, this really interesting spot now of you have the world tribe has, the Australian tribe has lost somebody, and Luke and Janine are pretty pissed at Kirby for all of this. And so that there's so many things to untangle from this. Now, it seems like that maybe, does Cirie have like buyer's remorse from going with the other people? Because she seems to really want to walk back to, okay, I have to like reconnect with Lisa and Cass.
Yeah, I think that this is the theme of the season, is being like caught between two worlds,
Yeah.
different priorities, different alignments.
Worlds apart.
With Australia v Worlds. Yeah, and I think that Cirie's priority is the worlds, and Parvati has not been the worlds at all. She's willing to target Cass. She's so out on the world. See, Cirie's Black Widow Brigade 2.0, Parvati's 3.0, and they disagree.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
All right, so the episode, we have our challenge, and it's another endurance challenge. And so we had that very interesting thing. I think that was in the endurance challenge. I think that happened in episode 4, where it ends up being the last two people are Cass and Parvati. And Cass, who is, a challenge beast in her own right, that who knew?
I knew.
You knew. And Parvati made this deal with her in episode 4. It was like, hey, let's make a deal. I never heard this deal before. She said, let's make a deal. She's just come back from Dondi, so she's ready to deal. And the deal is, okay, you let me win this one, I'll let you win the next endurance challenge. And so by what happenstance, we end up where the final two at the next endurance challenge ends up being Cass and Parvati. Yet, there's no mention of this deal, right?
Yeah, because she's trying to target Cass. Also, I think you were onto something. The way she should have pitched it should have been like, I'll try, at the top of the board, I'll just try a little less hard, or I can like fully give up the challenge. You pick briefcases to decide how much of the challenge I'll give up, and then we'll decide. That's how she should have. She's 2 weeks out of Dondi. I think that's much better.
I was surprised, and maybe they did talk about it and it didn't make the episode.
Well, Parvati said to Jonathan, like, shut up, don't talk about it.
It's no on
the
but no, I just feel like that. And then it seemed like, okay, Parvati ends up like losing, but it did not seem like she dropped.
She definitely did.
I don't know. I think that this would be something like when you do get to do your interview with Cass, I would love to know from her, like, was this ever discussed? And were there any hard feelings about like, hey, did Parvati kind of go back on her deal?
Well, to be fair, Cass only made the deal because she was like dropping anyway, I think. Like she was out of it. Parvati doesn't do it because she's actively targeting Cass. Like, if you think about it, poor Cass, like she's in the Black Widow Brigade 2.0. She's been replaced as the drummer of this band by Johnny.
And I've enjoyed Cass, I have to say. Let me give her some flowers.
Yeah, I mean, and she's telling the truth. She's getting her name thrown out there that she's targeting Parvati, which she's not. She's only been a very loyal member of this line. She tells us she doesn't really trust Parvati, but like, she's right. She's right to.
I mean, look,
her, so,
she has the right read. I mean, Kirby is the one who's off. And I also like that tribal council when they were asking her about the language barrier. Is it easier, or is it hard to lie in the other language? I forget what the exact question was. She says, "No, I can't lie in English. I wouldn't be able to do it."
It's so impressive that they're doing this. Well, it is like, and I think Tommy was answering this on his Q&A on Instagram. Like the fact that they're doing this in their second language, and it's not even like South Africa is like multilingual. It might be a bit more split. Like this is literally all English and two people who are having to constantly do that. I cannot imagine how difficult.
Give them credit for that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay, so there's so much going on in this episode where, you have Lisa and Cass who are really feeling like, oh, okay, well, like our friends just made new friends. And it really does feel like that we're on the outs. And so they are having to work through that situation. You have like the Kirby Parvati of it all. And this just relationship is, I think if I'm Cirie, very concerning to me of like all of a sudden, like, here comes Kirby and is talking about is like Parvati's number. I'm sure she's not like privy to all of these conversations, but Cirie can read the room.
Yeah. Well, I think that Kirby needed to, and I've thought about this a bit today. Like, I think that Kirby needed to maybe invest more in Cirie, because Cirie's fine to go for Kirby, and obviously Cirie is like very invested in the worlds. But I
Hmm.
look at it now and I think, Kirby doesn't have the leverage. The Australians are on the back foot. I think she should be going to Parvati and Cirie if they're like a total investment and being like, what do you want? And if they
Yeah.
want like Janine or Luke, or if that's what Cirie wants to do, like let Cirie kind of do that. If Parvati wants to lead Cass, well, Cass at that point is immune, but if she wants to lead a world, then that's a more kind of interesting
Yeah.
separation between Cirie and Parvati. Like, I just feel like Kirby pushed a name that Cirie didn't want, and then she became like collateral
I
damage.
think that there's some interesting parallels from earlier in the season when you had where Shawnee comes in and Kirby and Sarah are supposedly a duo. And then Shawnee comes in and Kirby is like, oh, Shawnee, yes, great. And Sarah, is not the player that Cirie is and is like totally like turned off by this. I don't like this. This is not good. I don't like, why is Shawnee here all of a sudden? And Cirie, I think, is probably like feeling similarly about Kirby. Although she does seem to have fond feelings for Kirby. She said, I love you when she ends up voting for Kirby. But in the same way that, Sarah knows that like this is not good for my duo, that Shawnee is here. I think Cirie like innately knows that, okay, Kirby being so close to Parvati, this is not good for my number one person.
Yeah, and Sarah and Cirie, two names spelled very similarly if you butcher one of them completely. So there's that parallel as well. I just
Yeah.
think for me, it's more like she's completely invested in the worlds. I think Cirie's ultimate investment is in Lisa more than Parvati. I think that, yeah, that's her investment.
Yeah.
And at that point, they're putting out Lisa. So she's going to come right back.
I mean, we've just seen in Big Brother how Cirie wants to play the game of like, okay, I have this person who is, like really thinks very highly of me,
Shotgun. I'll
who's
do it.
who's not going to turn on me.
I
This is
wouldn't.
like my super loyal ally, is not playing like a million different angles, is like
Wouldn't want to.
completely cards up with me. This is the type of person that I want to go to the end with. Does Cirie want to sit in the final three with Parvati?
No.
Is my question for you. Yeah.
No. Yeah, at some point, she's going to have to, I think, fully cut Parvati.
Yeah. I think
And
Cirie's ideal
weakening
final
her,
three
not
is
terrible.
Cirie,
Lisa
Cass,
told me.
and Lisa.
Cass, sure. Anyone who's
Hmm.
not Parvati. Yeah, you stick with Lisa, hope Lisa protects you with the worlds.
Yeah.
That's her path.
And then she'll get down to the final four, and
We'll get
that all
invited,
they have
get
to
it
do
out.
is Cirie and her two other people just will need to beat out Parvati in an immunity challenge. Now she does have
Villain
Cass.
style.
She has Cass who's there,
Well,
who I think is Cass could be the one person who does take down Parvati in the classic, iconic Australian Survivor 7.5 hour torture final immunity challenge.
yeah. Well, I thought you were going to say that, like,
So this is the best plan Cirie's had yet.
just being an immunity challenge is too kind to what usually happens to Cirie. I thought you were going to say, like, no, it's whoever, like Finland style, like whoever loses the challenge is out by Cirie. Like, Cirie's going to get screwed a lot worse than what you're saying of someone just winning an immunity challenge. That's child's play for Cirie. I think she should take up Parvati way earlier than 4, by the way.
Okay. Oh well, let's talk through this vote
7,
and then
6, maybe 6. I like
Okay.
6. I mean, she has so many more. She has so many advantages. Very soon, the sooner the better, actually, because she has a plurality of 4 now. She's got her in the worlds. She needs to fully invest in that. Cut Parvati ASAP. I think.
well, Parvati and Kirby, become very close in this episode, and Kirby is like wanting more assurances from Parvati, and I feel like there were so many red flags for Kirby in this episode that Parvati is not completely with you. And there were times when they were having like these one-on-ones and Kirby is like, wait, you're nervous. And Kirby is so good. Like, I'm a little disappointed in Kirby because that I have only known her to be such a good player. And I feel like, yes, that I just don't understand why she did what she did.
But that's not why she goes home.
Why isn't why she goes home?
Parvati or investing in Parvati. Like, I think that
she threw her game away for Parvati. Yeah, it was that she wanted to get she was like gung ho to get rid of Sarah.
Yes, that's different though.
And then and it was both things, and it was like, and then I'm going to put all here, Parvati, here are all of my eggs, put them in your glass jar
Cookie jar.
and be
Don't break
very safe
'em.
with them. And Parvati
Yeah.
was just like,
Well, I don't see it that way. I think when I look at like why Kirby goes, I
mhm.
think Parvati was like wanting to be more loyal
Ask
to
David
Kirby than
Bloomberg.
anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure we will hear, but I think that Parvati wanted to be more loyal for me. I think Kirby severed all her other relationships. I think that the Sarah relationship, it's kind of this is the Sarah relationship. It's like when you're in like a bad relationship and it like
Wouldn't
just brings
know.
out the worst in both people. Do you know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
like it was just not it. And now the first two people at Jury Villa, even though there
Yeah.
should be 4 more people there. Yeah, and I think that then she cuts into Australia, then she has less leverage. She's also such a huge threat. Like I kind of feel like the problems may be more at the root of like the lack of balance that Kirby has in her game. Like it's so audacious, it's so wonderful to watch. And again, when it works, it really works. When it doesn't, she's somehow a bigger threat than even Parvati, and she's destructed all of her relationships, and no one is protecting her. And even if Parvati is, it's not enough. I feel like maybe it's at the root, or maybe it's at the fact that she didn't manage Sarah well enough, and then that became untenable, and now she's lost numbers.
Yeah.
Like I think I see all of that leading to concerns. But I thought that Kirby was out the door the episode before, with or without Parvati. And I honestly think this was without. Like I don't think that Parvati's a big part of this. She's brought into a majority that are already voting for Kirby because she's such a huge threat, and because enough people aren't connected to
Yeah.
her or are against her. And
Yeah, I
that's
think
the
that
root of the issue.
you were saying this, that it was also a misread from Kirby to not invest enough in Cirie, where, it's Kirby who's, smitten with Parvati, but Cirie is the person who's really, whipping the votes
Yeah.
from that group. So yeah, it's like, okay, well, she was sort of like putting all of her energy into Parvati, but it was Cirie who really was the person who was in charge of bringing the numbers.
So Rhea has the numbers for sure. And I also think that, again, this running theme of this season is people giving the wrong names, maybe due to a lack of knowledge of relationships, possibly due to not knowing the seasons. We see this
Yeah.
Rob Bendelay is like, Parvati and Cirie, you vote for each other. We see here that she's saying she wants Cirie basically to vote Lisa.
Yeah.
Cirie doesn't want to do that.
Well,
So,
I think from
yeah.
Kirby, it comes from if I had to know or guess her motivation, it's that she's like, okay, well, I have to now cut off their other options
Yeah,
of
she
like,
wants-
and I think that you and Mike wrote about like, okay, she's going to vote out Eileen to make sure that Ferris, stays with it. Like, okay, well, now this is how I'm going to ensure that this new group that we put together now vote out your contingency plan, vote out your other plan B people, and then I'll feel really secure here because you don't have any other options. Now you're stuck with me.
Yeah, but the thing is, she had so much power in Titan's Variable. She could make moves like that and then recover or have people come to her. Whereas I feel like here, I wish she was playing with so much power because Kirby always does. But I wish she had been like, I'm in a terrible spot. Like I had to take out Sarah because Sarah was really against me, even if that's true
Yeah.
and like your mileage may vary. Now I'm like completely reliant on Parvati and Cirie. Who has the numbers? What do they want? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie myself to them. Hope they see me as the most loyal, which I honestly am. I will sit at the end with them. Many people will not. And hope that they go with me.
And she
On their
could have maybe accomplished what she tried to accomplish. And we saw Shawnee do this. And, I think that there's valid questions to ask about, like, how's Shawnee playing this? But Shawnee was able to, who did not love Sarah either. Okay, let me vote to take out Sarah. And then I'm going to then go back and solidify things with Australia. And I think that Kirby could have come home after that vote. I think that it was not. I mean, I think that there was like we've seen people like overcome bigger things than like that they were disappointed they lost the numbers, but it wasn't like I mean I guess Luke played with Sarah, but I think that if Kirby comes to Luke and Janine with Shawnee and it's like, hey, look, yes, we voted out Sarah, we had our problems with Sarah, but now we're taking out Lisa. We're going after. We're gonna get the world to split their votes, and we're coming in, and we're gonna go over the top,
Parvati.
Shannon, and we're gonna take out Lisa, and we're gonna get their numbers down to 4. Like, I don't think Luke and Janine are like, no, we're not doing that, Kirby. Get out of here. You're dead to us.
I mean, in Luke's, episodic, I can't believe I just got blindsided confessional, he did seem very out on Kirby. But
Sure,
you're
but
right.
have we seen that a million times at the start of a Survivor episode, and then by the end of the episode, people are back together?
Well, then it's like, okay, then Parvati's a real swing. Then it's like she wants to take out Lisa or Cass before Cass wins. And then Janine, we also saw kind of on Cass. So if she can kind of be in that same vein where it's, you really keep Shawnee, she has to keep Shawnee in line. I don't know what Shawnee's doing, but if she can keep the Australians together with Parvati
Seemed to really, be, like open to potentially voting out Lisa.
No, she was incredibly into it.
Yeah.
Like I think, that was where the
so
plan
that's
originated.
like that's a an option also, especially if you had the numbers to go along with it. I think that part of the problem was it's sort of like so Parvati knows Kirby doesn't have the numbers to do what she's trying to do.
But the thing is, Luke and Janine shouldn't do that. Like Luke and Janine should be fool me once, shame on. Fool me a million. How many times in so few episodes has Kirby fooled them?
You don't think that would be a good opportunity for them to go and work with Kirby and take out Lisa and then get it back to 4-4?
No, because 4-4 on what? Because Kirby is way more loyal to Cirie and Parvati. And Shawnee to Parvati. Shawnee, I don't know what Shawnee's doing.
I really thought that, not to say, that Luke really had his finger on the pulse of things. But I really thought coming into this episode, I thought it was going to be like, okay, well, I see where this is going. Luke and Janine, they're going to go to Tommy and Cass and Lisa and say like, hey, but they say vote out Cirie. Like that was like.
Well, I thought they were going to go for, he does float Kirby and then he says Cirie. And in that moment, I think that Luke is like, I'm mad at Kirby, but if we can do a world over in Australia,
because it felt like that the four that won the last vote were Shawnee, Kirby, Parvati, and Cirie.
Yeah, exactly.
It seemed like that there was a five that could have come together that could have attacked somebody in that four from a more vulnerable spot. And to go after Cirie really didn't make sense, especially. I'm sure Luke doesn't know Lisa has this affinity.
He watched the whole season. We did a penultimate
recap. But did Lisa talk about who's my favorite player?
Did she mention on the season?
Well, listen. We have many questions for Luke.
Luke doesn't remember Lisa's
not in the top 100. Okay.
He doesn't remember.
But what I'd love to talk about with you, and I don't know how much you strongly consider this, should Parvati have played the idol on Kirby? Because I had an interesting experience with this episode where I watched the episode, and we're recording this on Wednesday morning, where I watched most of the episode last night, and I was watching on my laptop, and then it was time to go to bed, and I didn't want to say to Nicole, let me finish this tribal council. So I closed the laptop thinking that, okay, Parvati is going to play the idol on Kirby, and that Parvati is going to save Kirby with her idol. And then I woke up this morning and watched it, and it's like, no, that was not what happened. And I was like really thinking of I went to bed thinking this was kind of a crazy move that Parvati's making, but it's very, reminiscent of the double idol play at a similar point in, Survivor Heroes versus Villains. So they're like, hey, this is kind of vintage Parvati. And then we see that not only does she not do that, she does vote for Kirby here in this vote. So then I was thinking it through. Wow, Cirie really has her numbers. Kirby does seem to be loyal to Parvati, although she does say when she votes, like, I'm trying to get, Lisa, I need to take you out, and then I can take out the big threats later.
No, she told me in the exit she was like, ride or die.
Ride or die, okay.
Really, like proper. Like not like what they've been saying, ride or die.
So what do you think? Like, would that have been a good move for Parvati to play the idol? Well, I guess I had not thought that
Cirie
part of it through.
Home. Yeah, Cirie would almost definitely go home. Which was saying, I'm saying Cirie should come for Parvati immediately. I think idling out Cirie would be crazy. But even more than that, even though Kirby, I think, is the best ally Parvati can have. I actually think Kirby is the best ally Parvati can have. She wants to sit at the end with Parvati. I don't know that I can say anyone else does. I don't think Cirie does.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. She talks about it like, I'm Khaleesi. Like, this is going to be my dragon of that. I'm going to.
A Game of Thrones musical theme also at the end there. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was pretty interesting. Of like, normally that is not a move that I would say like, yes, I like that is like, do that. But in terms of like, is there anybody other than Cirie? And Cirie, we've talked about, like, does she even want to sit at the end with Parvati? Like, there was one person that was really like, I've questioned it from Kirby's point of view of that, like, why did you think it was such a good idea to go all in on Parvati? But the fact that she was, like, I don't know, I could kind of see it. And then even if it came at the loss of Cirie, which we've established, does Cirie even want to sit at the end with Parvati? You know, what does the game look like then? Where are Lisa and Cass and Tommy going? Are they gonna team up with the Luke and Janines of the world?
Well, they're working with Janine right
Or
now.
Luke and Janines of Australia?
Yeah, and Luke and Janine aren't even working together. So look, it's very cut up.
That was weird too. I know you and Mike talked about that.
Very confusing. I don't think so, and here's why. Kirby is voted out in a 6-2-1. She votes alone, and the two people who don't vote for her seemingly kind of would have. Like, everyone's against her. What does keeping Kirby do? Like, she wants to sit at the end with Parvati. She's not going to have the opportunity to. Like, they're so out the door that I kind of think that Parvati elevating her threat level even more so by pulling a move like this.
But does Shawnee come back at that point? You know, Shawnee has
voted out Kirby, kind of. She's turning here.
I thought Shawnee wanted to vote out Cirie.
I mean, Luke originally comes in pitching Kirby on a plan that's with Shawnee, and she's not bringing Kirby into that plan. So she's not, like, it's not a great ally. Like, it's not a great option. Like, I don't think Kirby has anyone right now. I don't think there's enough there to expend an idol. If I'm Parvati, I'm thinking I need to play a defensive game. I came in as the biggest threat. I have an idol and an idol sealer and a great capacity to win challenges. There's only a few more rounds, even though we've been here just a few days. I don't need to elevate my threat level more to keep someone who's DOA at this point. And I'd rather keep my trinkets and use them in other ways that will gain me more. I think it's more that. And like, idling out Cirie does feel crazy, but I think Kirby's a better ally for her than Cirie. And I think actually taking out Cirie, who's such a major connective force on the board, is maybe what she gains the most out of it, but she can't be thinking like that. That is Cirie Fields. Like, we know the history, even though most of these players don't.
I more bring it up as I think it's like a thought-provoking conversation of a what if. And I know that you have been on the record of you can't question if something could ever be different or better. This is as good as it can possibly be.
So
you can't say that this would have been that it would have been more exciting if Parvati, because this already is maximum. We've reached we're already at 10. It doesn't go to 11.
In ways, yes. In ways, kind of.
That's it.
No, that's
all there is.
I think for Parvati, she's not going to go against all the numbers, you know, rather like regroup, have your trinkets and like work it out from there rather than just like dying on the stakes.
I had not, mathed it out that when I went to bed last night, I had not mathed out that where the ricochet was going to be going to that. Yeah, I know you have. I
was like, wow, if this is how Cirie goes, I am out. I quit.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right.
Do we have do we have the Chizzy charts as well in the confession? Because we're talking about Cirie and Parvati. What do you got?
I know we have some charts here. Okay, let's see. What are we looking at?
This is the confessional chart. Now, this has been a big topic of conversation. This is actually, and like the confessional charts are all a bit different. I've seen somewhere Parvati's up to 51. This has her at 42 because it's based on like time and stuff. But Parvati is 42, and the next highest is Luke on 22. David left with 15, which is as much or more than everyone but Luke and Parvati still in the game.
I really feel like that even the credits, how they end on Parvati, I feel like that Parvati gets like 4 times more to like in the intro shots than anybody else does. It's almost like it's like a TV show. It's like this person like and starring Parvati.
Yeah, but to be fair, okay, this is my expert opinion on the confession charts. I know there's a lot of people new to Australian Survivor, so this is what I want to say about it.
Yeah. I just for the people that are listening to the podcast, you want to just like give your the any highlights?
Yeah, so Parvati's on 42, Luke then on 22, Shawnee 15, Cirie on 15. I think Cirie is well under edited for how much she's controlling things. Janine has jumped up to 12 with 6 in the last episode. She was kind of invisible before.
Yeah.
Cass is on 8.
And Lisa also, she had such a big episode 1, and then I feel like that they've started hiding Lisa, which I don't appreciate.
Yeah, well, Lisa's also on 8. See, Cass and Lisa being the same is interesting because Cass has a consistent like 101420, and to me that's fine compared to Lisa 600020. Like to me that's not a winning edit, but Cass could still have a winning edit. That's Australian Survivor. It's the nature of it. And Tommy on 4. It's not looking great for Tommy. But my thing with Parvati's edit, which is so OTT, you can see the over.
You don't think Tommy's winning?
No, I don't. These are from Carl Darrett, by the way, and he's got the percentages, which I love. Parvati's 141% over-edited, Luke at 26, and everyone else still in the game on a negative. So does this mean that Parvati wins? Here's how I feel about the Australian Survivor edit. If Parvati is going to win, this is what her edit looks like. But if Parvati is also going to lose at the end, this is what her edit looks like. When the biggest character wins, we get this OTT edit. We get it with Ferris. We get it with Miles. But when George loses to Liz, George gets this edit. So I don't think it's necessarily looking good for her, to be honest. But like, it's not necessarily a winner's edit. She's someone who has 2 advantages. She's the biggest character. She's phenomenal TV. She dropped a James Clement reference this week, Rob.
Yeah.
In 2025,
Look,
an Australian Survivor.
Australian Survivor is going to really show you the stars and then not show you anything else.
And she's such good TV. I mean, I think other people, like, we want to see a bit of other people as well. More Cirie, baby. But yeah, I think that if you were to tell me Parvati's stats to this point in the season and that she's going to make at least final 8, if not further, I would think this is her edit win or lose.
And then just looking ahead to next week, actually, we have another chart, the Chizzy chart.
The Chizzy chart. I just thought we remember to donate to the Chizzy raffle if you care. Look at that. Look at Cirie Fields on 16, right at the top there with all the numbers, as we said. Lisa on 11, Parvati's on 9, and then Shawnee 8, Janine 7, Kirby left on 7, Luke is on 6, Cass is on 6, and Tommy's still waiting for a point that I desperately want to give him. So anything
even when
stand
he
out
drew the
here?
rock to win immunity, didn't get one.
I kind of wanted to because I love him. Anything does this feel right to you? Anyone over or under confessional style? Over edited, under edited, Chizzy?
I mean, I think it's fine. I mean, basically,
Does Cirie feel like she should be really dominating there for you, or am I biased?
I mean, I think that Cirie is in a pretty good spot coming out of that last vote. I think that Cirie is set up pretty well, and nothing really jumps out to me. I feel like Cass does seem a little low. I feel like that she's also like right there and potentially like, could win, an immunity in the right spot or going on an immunity run.
Yeah.
And so I thought Janine did have a good episode this last time out, and it's fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. Donate if anyone wants to add their points to the Chizzy charts. I just feel like, Cirie is the connector to everything right now. She's the conduit. And I don't really disagree with anything she's done so far. So we'll see if it keeps going like that.
Yeah. Looking ahead to next week, where do you feel like this is going?
I don't know.
Like, how does it, like, who's the next person that gets voted out?
Maybe like a Luke, but Luke has an idol. I feel like
but Parvati has an idol stealer.
Yeah, but does she know well, that's the thing is about the idol.
Sometimes she just
you can play it like a nullifier.
Yeah.
You can play it like a nullifier. You take the idol, and even if he doesn't have an idol, that would kind of be reducing its impact. But then he'd definitely go home. I mean, it kind of feels like it's gonna be a crazy episode. I didn't really watch the next time on, but like it feels like Parvati feels maybe like she's under fire. Maybe she starts coming out fighting. Parvati's lost a lot of agency, so how does she respond?
Yeah, but so the U.S. I'm sorry, the world team, they have what? They have 5, and then
just
it's
Luke,
only
Janine, and Shawnee.
So, could they potentially like split on them? Is Shawnee gonna go down with the ship there, or does she maybe come home to Parvati?
Yeah, I mean, like Shawnee doesn't have a lot going on right now. Like Shawnee kind of has Luke.
Yeah,
and
I wonder if Shawnee could like come over and then they do a 3-3 split on Luke or Janine.
Well, at the end of the day, Janine just worked with Cirie. And Shawnee just voted for Cirie. And Luke also kind of half voted for Cirie. So if I'm Cirie and I have those numbers, I might be looking at a Shawnee. Yeah,
I feel like it looks bad for Luke. I just wonder if there's some sort of like vote split they could do to prevent against him potentially playing his idol. Or do they sort of say like, hey, like, listen, there has to be an idol from that side. Who like would have found that idol? I don't think, was it Janine?
Found an idol. She's found an idol.
All right, and
she found it for the other tribe. Yeah.
Lisa's gonna say, "I know that Luke Toki. He probably has an idol."
Yeah, but Shawnee finds idols. Janine finds idols.
Okay. Well,
also, I wanted to correct something that I said.
Yes. What is it?
I said I mean, Shawnee wasn't the first person to do. Shawnee made a much bigger mistake. She said she was the first person to make the merge 4 times, which was not true.
I was like, wait, what? How is
Yeah.
that? Well, I mean, like, Parvati just made the merge for the 4th time.
Cirie. And Ozzy already did.
Why do they let people be wrong and leave it in the episode?
Why don't they don't know. The production should also.
They can't Google that. I mean, ChatGPT could tell you that.
That's true. They think it's right.
Although ChatGPT also has said that I made the merge 4 times. So
ChatGPT probably says I made the merge 4 times. I mean, I don't think we should be going by AI, but they could have Googled it. They can just ask me these things, but then I would be like, why?
Okay.
Someone
all right.
No, but I was going to say the thing I have to correct is that I said, but to be fair, Ozzy was voted out and went to redemption on purpose. Maybe that's it. But then I remembered Shawnee went to exile. So it was just wrong. It was just
not right. Okay. Please be better, Australian Survivor fact checkers. Okay. Shannon, what a great conversation. So much fun to talk about everything. It was honestly, it was a great week to talk about, and looking forward to one more full week and then the big finale coming up the week after that. Of course, you could check out all of Shannon Guss's incredible coverage, which will kick back off on Sunday night in Australia and Sunday day here in the US, when Shannon and Chappelle will talk about several.
Yes. We
of
will
Australian
have
Survivor versus the world.
Recaps, interviews, this show. And we're doing something else next week as well. We're doing a patron call-in show.
Yeah, like I do during the
night.
Survivor US seasons and during Big Brother.
Yeah, so that'll be Tuesday night ET at about 8 p.m., which is 10 a.m. Wednesday in Australia. If you want to call in for the patrons, we'll have seen all but one episode. We'll be talking about the finale.
So right after Chappelle and I get done with the slop, Shannon will take patron questions about all of week 3. And then next Wednesday, I will join Shannon once again to talk about it all. Okay. Shannon, anything else going on for you?
No, that's it. I mean, what else could be going on? That's my life.
Okay.
I'm loving it. Having a great time.
Thank you so much. I really have enjoyed. I always read the comments from although last week I saw comments that said, wow, they said I was being mean to you on the podcast.
I don't think so.
Like, I didn't get that.
You were very protective over me, which I really appreciate, but Rob's should not be the target of that ire.
Yeah, what, the other podcasters?
Oh, yeah, I mean, come for them. I'm joking. They're all great.
Yeah.
All of them, there are a lot of people you can come for. Don't come for them, though.
Yeah, I love to have a good-natured discussion with you about what's going on.
They're going to be so mad this episode when you said you wanted Tommy to die, and when you were like, oh, so nothing can be better? Come for Rob, actually.
I'll stand by that. I think that, like, things could always be worse, too.
It could be a lot worse.
But you can't say that this is optimal. You cannot change one thing. This is absolutely, this has been a perfect season, and nothing could be even more interesting than what has already happened.
I have few notes. The notes I have to do with Tony. The merge episode I think was a perfect episode of TV. Like, I'm not looking.
You could say this has been okay. All right. Sam's giving the wrap up sign, so we gotta move. We gotta go. Busy day here on Wednesday, but thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye. This is RHAP. We know reality TV.